Okay, hello. Resistance is futile. Actually, it should be the other way. Resistance is going to break. All right, so this is a video about the recent data on gold and silver. We've got a break words for the resistance for silver that's going to break twice over the course of April and May. How much in May, I don't know, but it'll be a bigger break than what we've got showing up for April. The one for April is in silver is going to be silver. The one for April is going to be a little bit of a break. So the data would describe the if this were a chart for silver, then a little bit of a break might be something up like that. If we're looking at this, say, across the course of a month, and then it would get pushed down, but not down to the same level. So not down to the same baseline that it had been operating on, and it would have a new baseline that was slightly higher than the other, and that's the resistance breaks. And there's a lot of language about breaks, crack up, shattering, the rupture, expulsion of air, expulsion of heat, release of energy for it, for silver, all of these different kinds of things around this particular point where we have this little tiny break up. That's set for April within our data. Last week, probably, from the 18th on. It's in some way temporally tied to the post-tax period. Okay, so there's some kind of there's going to be some kind of an emotional connection, some language that will come on out that will be a temporal marker relative to the emotional values around tax values. That at the same time that that's happening, silver is going to make this little breakout, and the breakout's going to get everybody really excited. So get prepared though for that breakout to get pulled back, like say 80% of its initial distance up. So if I had to describe it, I would say something like this. If silver were to bust up $1, be prepared for it to come back down 80 cents as they get control again. But it'll still be 20 cents higher than it was when it did the bust out. And that's the one for April. The one for May, we don't have much of a description for. The details we're getting for April are within the immediacy data, which is effective from 3 days, usually out to the end of the third week. And its error range can be about that, but I've been able to narrow that down to between 11 and 13 days usually now. But the one in May, it's all the way out at the end of May. So, and it appears to be that we go along in May, and then in that weekend that separates the third week from the fourth week in May, there's something that's going to occur. I think it'll probably be geopolitical rather than economic. And when that does occur, that following Monday is when we get another one of these breakpoint things that goes on. So let's say that this is out here in May at that stage. Then it would look something like this. It is probably going to bounce along like that. Usually they control it. And then here we are in May. And then we get out to that weekend, which would be like right here. And then we come on in on the Monday, we have another spike up. I don't know about any of this area right there. I have no idea how much of a pullback we're going to get on that spike or that breakdown on the resistance then. Language is very clear about it. It is a break in the resistance. The pressure is upward. The language is also very clear about the attempt to push back down. And from this point on, we have much more vague language that describes the thing as a fighting retreat for the silver suppressors as we head on in to the latter half of spring and into summer. There's a one-time break for gold that appears to occur simultaneously in May. So it does not look like gold breaks out when silver does here. At least if it does, it's of such a minor significance relative to silver that we're not going to pay any attention to it. There isn't that much emotional values for it. Bitcoin. Okay, now this is the screwy part. As if any of this stuff was sound and not screwy. But here's the deal. Bitcoin all right, you remember last year we had a situation where in June the data all of a sudden shifted forward, all of these projections for Bitcoin that had been projected for later in the year, for August and September and October. And they seemed to pull forward about 5 or 6 weeks. All of the values still held. We still had the language pop out the way we had initially said, which was that we were not going to have Bitcoin at 650 in the 650s at the end of July. And it all worked out that way, and it worked out fine with Bitcoin, but it basically pulled forward all the projections by about 5 to 6 weeks, somewhere in there. Prior to that occurring, in March and April and May of last year, we had particular data patterns show up. They were of the pattern itself was not meaningful to me at the time because we hadn't gone through that Bitcoin pull forward, so to speak, of its projections. Now we have, so we went through that pattern last year, and now we've got that pattern again. It's at a higher level, but basically it appears as though the Bitcoin projections might be being pulled forward again relative to our forecast and interpretations from previous reports. If that's the case, then we should be seeing our 1448 number a lot sooner than we'd anticipated. And from there on, the crocodile teeth, the sweep up into 2300 and all of that would also have a corresponding pull forward. And also noted from last year, everything last year was sort of compressed in a couple of months, whereas I thought it would take at least 4 or 5. So we saw a lot of Bitcoin action in June and July of last year that we had presumed would occur August, September, October, November, and take a lot longer. And the data sets appear to be setting us up for another one of those. And that's what I've got on the, this is post report cleanup from the April report as we're getting the databases and everything ready to do the interpretation for May. We've got to keep an eye on the Bitcoin stuff because it may pull forward fairly fast. And if you recall, the Bitcoin action last year through summer and into fall was very energetic. A lot of good activity there for people. So sometime around after the tax period, we have an April break in resistance and gold on silver, and we have a gold silver break sometime in May, and that period in May appears to be the separator for between the 3rd and the 4th week. There should be some kind of geopolitical thingy there that will cause to which we will attribute, I don't know that any of this causes anything, but to which we will attribute the action that will follow in that 4th week of May. And as I say, we don't have anything in the immediacy data that allows me any level of confidence to say how much there might be a pullback on this larger spike in silver at that period. Now, all this shit can be wrong. I mean, don't misunderstand me. These are projections. These are forecasts off our data. This is not written in stone. Just because we've been right in the past does not necessarily mean we'll be right in the future. At some point, all this is going to crap out. But that's what we've got at the moment. So there you go, guys. If you're into silver, some good news, maybe. We'll see. I've been repeatedly wrong on it. I'm hoping I'm right on this time. So, talk to you later.